Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today, talking about Star Citizen, way before I thought I was going to be doing so again. I wasn't really planning on talking about this game until like either Squadron 42 finally came out, which is apparently happening in 2026 now, or the next major update to Star Citizen. Now, the last time we were discussing this game was shortly after Star Citizen passed the $800 million milestone, meaning that it's raised $800 million for its development since the Kickstarter all those years ago, 12 years ago. It's been a long time. The game's still in alpha, still really buggy, but progress is being made on a couple of big major promises like the server meshing and such. But yeah, so we took a look at the game when that milestone was passed, but we're not talking about a milestone today, but rather a little bit of controversy that, in my opinion, is a little bit of the mask slipping off with CIG and Chris Roberts. So, what happened? So literally 10 days ago from this video's release, CIG announced that a new module, or mod, upgrade, whatever you want to call it, was being released, called Flight Blades. The way Flight Blades work, from my understanding, is that it's a module you can buy that you can shove into your ship's console, and then it affects the parameters of your ship in one of several ways. It'll make your ship a little bit faster, but a little bit less maneuverable, make the weapons a little bit more powerful, maybe make the shields a little bit weaker, so forth and so on. Now, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, this should sound fairly familiar to you, because this sounds a whole lot like unique upgrades in World of Warships, which are pretty much literally the same thing. You acquire them in-game, you slot them into your ship with whatever mod slot they go into, and it tweaks the performance of your ship. It's kind of like it's not kind of like, it is a side grade to, your ship. It tweaks the way it's played, makes it play a little bit differently, but as many of you should know, you regular viewers out here, quite a few unique upgrades are considered by a large portion of the player base to be just straight up massive buffs to that particular ship. For example, in World of Warships, the Cristoforo Colombo. It's a ship that is considered to be a pretty good ship, but with the unique upgrade that improves the dispersion and the reload time, it makes it almost busted with how good that ship is now. Now, in games like World of Warships, the only way you can acquire these unique upgrades is through in-game resources. You have to grind out Research Bureau points in order to get these unique upgrades. So you have to put in the time in-game to get these upgrades. The issues with these Flight Blades and Star Citizen is that they weren't available in-game at all originally. We'll get to that here in a moment. But instead, you had to buy them on the Pledge Store, where they were being sold for anywhere from around $15, apparently up to around 30-ish US dollars for these Flight Blades. Now, of course, with the way that gaming goes nowadays, while truly these, ones I've looked at least, are pretty fair in the trade-offs that you get, this is the beginning of that slippery slope that we all know and love. Especially, again, you regular viewers here who, we've all played World of Warships, Water Tanks, War Thunder, Wargaming, and Gaijin. We've seen this time and time again. They'll introduce something, it's not really that bad, not really that crazy, but fast forward a year or so, and now we've got, like, in World of Warships, the Daruma containers, where we got 3 containers in one. It's that Russian nesting doll style of gambling, or, any other number of mechanics in, World of Warships, Water Tanks, or War Thunder. It gets crazier as time goes on. And that's what this looks like, to me at least. They are trying to introduce these modules that, over time, they'll start being a little bit less balanced, and, some ships will be more cracked than other ships, because, again, like we talked about with the Colombo at the start of this video, yeah, it just gets to that point with modern day gaming. And keep in mind, too, that they're selling these modules that essentially side grade these ships in a game that's still in alpha. Because 12 years later, at $800 million, this game is for some reason still in an alpha state. And they're selling what is in, many cases in other vehicular-based games where you have, similar mechanics where you can, slot something on your vehicle that slightly changed the way it performs. This is considered to be in-game loot for, not really loot, in-game items for players that have invested thousands of hours into these games, and now that the game's 10 years old, they need to add something in to keep the game interesting and fresh for those veteran players. But they're doing this in a game that's still in alpha. If that doesn't seal the deal that it is beyond time for Chris Roberts to stop adding in more mechanics into this game and just focus on completing what's there and getting the game into a running and functioning state, I don't know what is. I mean, because Star Citizen, we've had a playable version of Star Citizen for well over a decade now, and in many a case, in fact, one of the encounters you should be watching in the background, there are bugs that are decades old that haven't been fixed yet, but they'll go on, they'll keep adding in, more new ships, more mechanics that just add to the feature creep that keeps extending this game's development cycle. And one of the bugs you should be witnessing is the invincible bounty bug, where, actually you go to, hunt down a PvE bounty, and, well, they're bugged and they're invincible. Now you're going to spend the next 15-20 minutes dumping all your ammo into this one bounty, and yeah, still in the game, still not fixed, still randomly fall out of elevators and space stations and such. The list goes on and on and on and on. So why are they adding in these modules now? Well, it appears that CIG is kind of running out of money. Now, like many have pointed out, they have raised $800 million over the course of, 12, 13 years, whatever the timeline may be, but they have spent that money on, well, the game, I guess. Yeah, obviously, Squadron 42, they've been focusing hard on that because it's getting close to release, and now that it is getting so close to release, I believe the plan is now they're going to start shifting more staff from Squadron 42 over to Star Citizen and actually focusing on finishing Star Citizen. At least that's the general narrative that I've seen from CIG. And in fact, they pointed out that they are planning on releasing 11 updates, I believe in 2026, or that they have released, 11. Oh, no. They're going to release 11 updates in 2025, which, yeah, we have gotten some big updates in 2025, which, cool, that's neat, seeing progress on the game. So it appears that they've reached the point where, selling the $300 ships, the $200 ships, the, $10,000, $48,000 ship bundles, I guess that only makes you so much money, but when that so much money, quote-unquote, is $800 million, I mean, that's a lot of money. So I guess they want to start making some extra cashola along the way by releasing these mods. And, again, this first wave of mods, they were pretty balanced and such, but I mean, going forward, you want to make a little bit extra money, let's release a broken mod that makes one ship absolutely godly, and now, people will pay to buy the ship and buy the mod as well. So, yeah, I think this is a sign that CIG really needs to buckle down and get this game into a finished state. And by a finished state, I mean, if they would just stop where they're at right now, we have two systems, and focus on refining the game, polishing the game, making it run halfway decent. If you've never played Star Citizen, unless you play on absolute potato quality on your PC and you have a top tier PC, when you are not just flying around in space, the game runs terribly so. It's more stable now, I'll give them that. It is way more stable now than what it was when I first started playing 3 years ago. But it doesn't run great. So they need to optimize the game. They need to, fix these bugs that have been around for, again, literally over a decade in some cases. If they would do that and just release the game in the state that it's currently in, but, polished and everything works and everything runs, they would have one of the best games in all of history if they ever, friggin' release it, right? But who knows, with them, shoving people over from Squadron 42 to Star Citizen, with Squadron 42 coming out in 2026, maybe we will eventually get a finished product. But I mean, yeah, it's just wild to me that they said, let's go ahead and release these modules for, $25-30 in the pledge shop. And yeah, now they have responded to the pushback, because thankfully they did get massive levels of pushback from the community, which I'm very happy to see that the community is kind of fed up with, this never-ending development cycle that Chris Roberts has going on here. And they did say that going forward, any future mods will be available in the game for purchase with in-universe credits. So that's cool. But apparently they are still selling the mods in the mod shop as of right now. So I don't know if it's they don't feel like probably because they don't feel like refunding the money to the players that bought these mods in the pledge shop at the moment. So there's that. Let me check, see if they're still in the pledge shop 10 days later from this. Yep, as of May 24th, these blades are still very much in the shop and you can purchase them. So there you go. They haven't removed it from the shop just yet. So they said that they're sorry, and they say that these will be available in June in the in-game shops and such, but still haven't removed them from the pledge shop because of course they still want to make what money they can. So that's that. And I do hope this game gets finished because I would very much like to play a completed version of Star Citizen that runs well and all the major bugs have been fixed. I very much am looking forward to that day, but that day is not today, and I guess we'll see what happens going forward. As always, time will tell with Star Citizen, although once again I would very much like to play a completed Star Citizen before I'm 35, and well, we're getting closer and closer to that every single day. So that's all I got for you today with Star Citizen, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.